Good evening and welcome to the Newshour Agenda. Modi government 3.0's first full budget has kept the middle class at the centre. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who presented her 8th consecutive budget, announced major tax relief for the middle class. Those earning up to 12 lakh rupees per annum won't have to pay any taxes at all. This essentially means that the middle class will have more money on their hands, which will spur household consumption and drive growth. Here's what the tax relief would mean for the middle class. Now, this is the impact as far as taxpayers' income is concerned. Let's take a quick look at the scenario 1, where the income is at 8 lakh rupees. The old tax is at 30,000. The saving is of 30,000. The same applies for 9, 10, 11, up to 12 lakhs, where in fact the tax that was there earlier at 40, 50, 65 and 80,000, the tax now is a 0. So from 8 to 12, your taxable income is 0. The saving in each of those circumstances increases from 30 to 40 to 50 to 65 to 80,000. But what happens if the tax-free amount that is now at 12 lakhs or 1 lakh rupees a month salary, if it increases, say, to 16 lakhs? Then the earlier tax would have been 17 lakh rupees. It now comes down to 1.2 lakh rupees, or a saving of 50,000. What if it's at 20 lakh rupees? Then the salary, the tax, I beg your pardon, is at 2.9 lakh rupees. It's now come back to 2 lakh rupees, or 90,000 rupees of saving. For those earning 24 lakh rupees, it is at 4.1 lakh earlier and at 3 lakh rupees now, which is 1.1 lakhs that has been reduced. At 50 lakh rupees, for instance, it would be at 11.9 lakh rupees of tax that you would have paid earlier. And now it would be 10.8 lakh rupees that would go, or a saving of 1.1 lakh. But what is really the impact on the double income houses, where both the husband and wife would be earning the level of 12 lakh rupees? If the husband earns up to 12 lakh rupees a year and a wife earns up to 12 lakh rupees a year, the combined income is at 24 lakhs. The household income entirely, this entire 24 lakhs, will now be tax-free. And that is the real impact as far as middle class is concerned. Now, while the Prime Minister has called it a budget that will act as a force multiplier, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that putting more money in people's pockets will boost consumption.
ये बजट एक फोर्स मल्टीप्लायर है. ये बजट सेविंग्स को बढ़ाएगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ाएगा, कंजम्पशन को बढ़ाएगा और ग्रोथ को भी तेजी से बढ़ाएगा.
We are saying now they will have 1,10,000, 1.10 lakh in their pockets, which they don't have to pay as tax. So we have put good substantial amounts into the pockets of people who deserve to get that.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, let's take this across to our guests. With us is Manish Bariyar, political analyst. With us is Rohintan Sidhwa, who's a partner at Deloitte India. Also with us is Gauri Puri, who's a partner at Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas and Co. We also have Dr. Rohit Azad, economist, joining us. And viewers, this is a call-in show. We're asking you to call in, join us with your queries, and we'll put them across to the experts on our panel. Our first viewer joining us is Raj from Hyderabad. Yes, Raj, what's the query?
Good evening to all the panelists there. This is Raj from Hyderabad. This budget is definitely a boost in the economy and the middle class in particular. The 7 to 12 lakh jump which has been given by Nirmala Sitharaman is definitely a wonderful boost. And this puts more money in the pocket of these taxpayers, which was not there last year. Hence, I feel that, more money which comes into the market, the liquidation will be better, and it will definitely, boost the economy, boost the capacity, the expendable income of the individual increases by leaps and bounds.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the purpose of actually doing that, increasing the spending. But I think yours is more of a observation than a query. So let's move across to our next caller. Our next viewer with us is Sarvana from Chennai. Yes, Sarvana.
Yeah, good evening. Basically, this budget has put in middle class people to save more and spend more. This will, in fact, middle class is the largest chunk of people in India, and this will help the when middle class person goes out for a tour for a village, there is a spending, and the village, the rural economy also gets boosted, and vice versa. If he is going to purchase, the mobile phones and the need for the charging of the batteries cost is going down. And moreover, the electric vehicle cost is going down because the electric vehicle lithium-ion batteries cost is going down in this budget. And definitely this budget is going to...
okay, it's a budget that's going to spur the economy. That's your point of view. With us is also Shanti Swarup, very quickly from Vijayawada. Very quickly, Shanti Swarup, do you have any queries for our panelists here?
Namaste. This budget must implement to the only rural people. It must affect to the first rural people. Implementation should go to the rural, and 51% amount should go to the rural people. Due to middle class people are there only. So please and please, again and again, the total...
Okay, I'm not able to hear you very clearly, but if I've understood the gist of your question, you're talking about it going to rural areas, and that was part of the query that was made by the previous viewer as well. Let me take this question across to Dr. Rohit Azad. Dr. Rohit Azad, this is what the government is saying, that as far as spending is concerned, that's what we wanted. It's not just about the urban areas where, people perhaps typically would earn, salaries of this kind of nature, but it will also spur spending as far as rural India is concerned. How are you looking at that argument?
No, Madhav, so I think there are certain problems there. There's a huge gamble being played by this government, and I say it with all sincerity. Look, if the taxes are going to fall, tax rates are going to fall by 7%, the budget is actually thinking that the revenue is going to go up by 12%. So all the expenditure in rural areas that the government is thinking of is banked on that one number. So the growth has to be that high of incomes despite a fall in the taxes, the revenue to go up by 12%. Very, very seriously doubt that. And that's why it's important. So when the revenue receipts had got down last year, in the last budget, they had to actually cut down on expenditure. I can give you many schemes, but overall the expenditure went down by 1.1 lakh crore. What does that mean? If you're going to further restrict fiscal deficit, which is what fiscal contraction means, then the expenditure in rural areas has to come down.
Okay.
With tax revenue that...
Manish Bariyar, is that necessarily true? Because it's a big gamble that the government is taking, is Rohit's view. And he says that where is that extra money going to come? Where is that cushion? Where is that room for maneuver left if you're going to, actually expect more revenue while cutting down on tax revenues?
So I would, in fact, humbly differ from observation of Mr. Azad, because if you look at if the consumption side is on the higher side, then the government is also going to earn from the indirect taxes. So therefore, I'm sure, the plan must be that the fillip which you give to the economy would really increase the consumption side, and everybody is talking about that the consumption is something, the kick-starting of consumption cycle of this economy was something which was very, very important. And I think, in my view, the entire country right now, a couple of viewers of yours, instead of asking questions, they all have observation. Madhavji, you must have really done these kind of shows earlier also, and you could see the difference. Everybody is very optimistic. Now, it's not something which is like a very little amount which is coming to the country to really kickstart the cycle. On the consumption side, government expects that it's going to go high. Even on expenditure side, the government is pushing. So if you look at fiscal deficit margins, you don't see government being very aggressive on that.
Okay. We have more viewers joining us. In fact, hold on to your thoughts, Manish, and also requesting Gauri and Rohinton to just hold on with us. We have some more of our viewers joining us. Asha is with us from Mumbai. Yes, Asha, your query.
Hi, I'm here again talking to you. Let's talk of RBI. RBI has handed over 3 trillion rupees after selling dollars. This money is being handed over to the BJP. What is the outlay? How are you spending? Because you're not spending. You're just milking us dry and taking our money and telling us where you're giving it back to us.
Well, ma'am, for a change in this budget, actually the taxpayer has gotten some amount of relief. That would have perhaps been the argument in previous budgets, but I don't think that works. Manish, would you like to very quickly take that question?
Yeah, 39.4 lakh crores, is that the kind of expenditure which is there? If you look at last year, last fiscal, it was 37 lakh crores. So, ma'am, I would again humbly differ from you. The government is spending, and if you look at various sectors, you would see the allocations in many of the sectors have gone up. You need to look at the broad areas also. Even the defense has gone up, education, social welfare schemes. So it's not that the government is not shying away from spending. I think it's bonus from the both sides. On one hand, government is spending. If you look at last year also, capital expenditure was 11.11 crores. This year also, lakh crores. This year also, it is quite significant.
All right, Manish, just going to interrupt you there. We have Vijay Mishra now joining us from Ghaziabad. Vijay Mishra, your query for our panelists. Vijay Mishra, can you hear me? All right, I think we've lost that line there. Let me go across to Gauri on that note. Gauri, one of the aspects, of course, is tax. Undoubtedly, a big ticket announcement, those earning. There was a time, where in India, not so long ago, I'm sure you would recollect the time a few decades ago where Lakpati denoted somebody who was rich. Now, a person who earns a lakh a month is no longer considered rich. He is considered of the category that you give the person a tax break. That person pays zero taxes here in India. And that's a very, very interesting altered reality that we are currently living in from today. Your thoughts on really implementing this and the impact that this will have, because a huge swath of taxpayers have been covered under this new scheme.
Look, the way I look at it, I think it's a welcome change, because the middle class of this country have been, the tax engine for a very long time. We have just 2% of the population which pays taxes, and a predominant part of those are, salaried employees who are paying taxes at source. And so I think that what's happened right now is that economically as well, with global headwinds, the GDP slowing down, where the government needs to spur consumption, both things have come together where it makes sense for the government to sort of give that relief, so make people happy, and that then kind of segues into enhancing consumption and contributing towards GDP growth. And another point that I feel very strongly about is that in the last 10 years, we've taken significant steps towards formalizing the economy. The tax base has increased, compliance has also increased, because everybody has an audit trail now. So as the tax base increases, there's fiscal room for the government, to undertake, measures like this and give back to the people.
But, that's the big question. The tax base, is it really increasing at the rate that we wanted to? It's still in single digits, and a very, very small percentage of our population still actually pays taxes. How do we bring those people into the system? No easy answers yet. But let me get in a quick word from our next viewer. Anupam Dubey is joining us from Puri. Mr. Anupam Dubey, your views, your queries.
Good evening to all the panelists. I am Anupam Dubey. I am an army personnel speaking from Jammu and Kashmir, Uri. Firstly, heartiest congratulations to the Honorable Finance Minister. What a fantastic budget she has presented this time. And a very good move of increasing the tax exemption to 12 lakh rupees. It is a very good move. My only one point that I want to convey, if it can reach up to the Honorable Finance Minister, is that the defense expenditure should be at least 5% of the GDP. Considering the present geopolitical situations, as a country, we should move towards increasing the defense expenditure to at least 5% of the GDP.
Well, that's a perfectly legitimate point of view. It's a legitimate ask, of course, when it comes to education, healthcare, defense, several such critical areas where, in fact, many have been demanding perhaps increased, outlays. But Rohinton Sidhwa, I'd like you to come in on this. Of course, the budget apart and various heads apart, the impact that this is going to have, because it's easier said than done when you think about actually increasing the tax net. And do you really think that this change as far as the exemptions are concerned will ensure that there are more taxpayers or more people who come into the system because of the sheer relief that they would get?
Sure. So let me try and answer that with some facts and figures. So currently, we are a country of approximately 1.4 billion people, out of which the amount of returns that actually get filed, so the amount of taxpayers we actually have, is about 100 million. Okay, out of that 100 million, about 1 million of those are corporate tax returns. Let's put them on the side. So the bulk, the balance ones are really individuals mostly, and of course non-corporates as well. Essentially what you're really looking at is it's this component of returns which get filed, which actually contributes the bulk of our direct income tax revenues. So today corporate taxes contribute about 40%, about 60% of our income tax actually comes from personal tax. And if you are seeing the benefit which has been given, it's completely driven by that populist 60%, where you have the maximum, where you have out of the 100 million, you have almost 80, 90 million taxpayers who are individuals. So it's a very large part of the population which is getting the benefit. How much is the benefit? The Finance Minister has already called it out in a speech. She said it's about a 1 lakh crore. I mean, it's about 1/20th of our total tax collection that we do in a year. So it's a very sizable benefit that's been given. Obviously, the reason why this benefit, and actually Gauri alluded to it earlier, is that personal tax collections are actually growing at a blazing fast pace. Even the latest figures show that personal tax is growing at around 20% net collections, which means after refunds being given, which is a very healthy sign. It's moving us gradually to a situation which we see mostly in developed countries, where direct income tax, and that also from individuals, is by far the biggest contributor of taxes. And it's a very healthy trend. Now, what the Finance Minister has done is said, you guys are the ones who have grown the most, and I'm going to reward you by sharing some of what you have contributed back with you. I think that's a very healthy trend. It's the hope that we probably get more and more growth out of it. Okay. Also, what's contributed has largely been the fact that this taxpayer base is also growing by all the technology measures that the department has kept doing. And that's also contributed in a large part to the growth. So the more we can grow this base, the better it is for the entire country.
All right. Very, very interesting perspective that you put there, comparing it to certain Western countries. And Rohit, have you got an answer to what your query was from what Rohinton has said over there? Because he says that this is not unlike what's happening in other economies, particularly the more developed economies.
No, so simply, if you bring the corporate tax rates down, it's obvious, it's tautological that the other tax would go up. So it has nothing to do with the fact that the other countries, if you bring, which is what the government had done, brought the corporate taxes down, the direct tax rates would, as a proportion of GDP, would go up. It's like if one is falling, the other would rise. To make this into an argument that we have become a developed nation as a result of that, I think requires
He's saying we're taking a cue from the developing nation, from the developed world. He's just saying we're taking a cue. Is it something so wrong?
Yeah, I'm saying that, I'm saying to take cue from the developed nation in your corporate sector. If you're going to put all the burden of tax mobilization on a very small section of the population, how is that a thinking of a developed nation?
Okay. Rohinton, you want to respond to that?
In fact, a large part of your taxes actually comes from indirect taxes. So, yeah.
Rohinton, quick response from you, please.
Yeah, sure. So, no, actually, the trend, I just lay the trend and, we can debate it a little more. So the trend has always been that direct tax or income tax has to be the main contributor for tax. So as our nation develops, that share is constantly increasing.
Okay.
Currently, indirect tax has fallen over the years from being almost 65% of total tax collections. Now it's somewhere around 40%. It's not that indirect tax collections have slowed down. GST has actually significantly increased over the years.
All right, all right. Rohinton, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. It's only for the want of time. Very, very interesting debate, but time is a big limitation here. Manish Barrier, Rohinton Sidhwa, Gauri Puri, Dr. Rohit Azad, thanks so much for joining us and in fact breaking down several aspects of what really the meaning, the thought process and the impact of this change in tax slabs will be, particularly for the common man.